We're broadcasting, right?
Looks like it'd take about 10 more seconds. Usually the first 20 seconds are a little awkward. We don't know if we're live or not, but I'm going to assume that we're live right about now. So, should be live. If not, should be a second or two delayed. Got my good friend, Greg Tanner from, I'll let you introduce yourself, I guess, from South Carolina. So, who are you, Greg? Talk about yourself.
All right, yeah, and we've been talking about doing this for a long time, and you finally nailed me down to do it. But I'm a loan officer in South Carolina, and I'm just your average LO that's gone through his ups and downs and a little bit of everything. And I think I finally have found a place that I love and a stride, kind of hit my stride and have consistency. And I think that's the biggest part of this business, just maintaining that consistency and trying to grow from there.
I like it, bud. Now, Greg's team told him that if he's going to make videos, he has to go back to the outhouse to do it. So I think that's what he's recording from the outhouse today. But no, I believe you created a separate video studio. You're on board with video and social media. But today we're not going to spend all of our time talking about tech or a secret recipe or something that you found that's just different from anybody else. We're going to talk about, I think, keeping our eyes open to what works and to what doesn't work, and understanding that when we help those around us win and we build strong relationships, we usually end up doing a lot better. So does that sound about right?
That, absolutely. And as you said, I'm broadcasting from the outhouse here. You've named my podcast studio now, so it's called the outhouse. But yeah, I mean, I think you're like me, Fish. I mean, I learned. I mean, really, I kind of got into the social media through you, and you can quickly get so locked into social media that's like, okay, this is going to be my business. This is where all my business is going to come from, and you're going to see these leads come in, and you're going to get excited, and then a month or two later, you're going to be like, well, damn, am I a social media marketer or am I a loan officer? And I struggled with that for a long time, and what it ends up happening is you kind of forget about, well, wait, there's a relationship side of this too. And you forget about your realtor relationships. And everyone has their own opinion on realtors and where their business comes from. But to me, my realtor relationships are the most important to me because that's where the bulk of my business is always going to come from. I mean, I looked at last month's production and 70% of my business came directly from realtors. So why would I ever not concentrate on that and not make that my main concentration?
Now that's been, you've been in and around the mortgage business for a long time. That's always been a mainstay for you. But, you actually did what a lot of us did. I mean, you transitioned from maybe that big bank world to the correspondent hunt for yourself kind of world.
Right.
And, you weren't even an LO for a while. I mean, you had roles at the bank that weren't even related to production.
Yeah, I was a compliance and risk and control guy. So yeah, I'm the exact well, I'm not gonna say the opposite of what we do as LOs, but what do we LOs hate is compliance. So yeah, so I was an originator before and left in 2007 and kind of went back into the more corporate world and banking, and then came back in 2013 originating.
Now, I know your story pretty well, but not everybody watching does. You have been kicking around. How do I build? I mean, you had fair level of success because of all the time that you put in making relationships and being good at your craft. I mean, you're really darn good at guidelines.
Right.
But, you struggled a little bit with how do I grow, and you tried a handful of different things. Like we said, you tried social media, you tried, going non-producing. Let's talk about some of the things that you tried that didn't work. Let's maybe help our friends figure out what doesn't always work the way we want it to work.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really careful with, I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and it makes me sick a little bit thinking about the money that I've spent, but it's also a lesson because it does teach you, like you said, what works and what doesn't work. I will tell you this, as a loan officer, you can't be afraid to spend some money on some technology, throw some money out there every once in a while. Everybody has their own opinion on, Zillow and Realtor.com. I try them all. I still use them all. I'm on Boomtown that I partner with a local real estate brokerage. So I have a little bit of everything in my mix. I would just be very careful of who you hire, as a coach or whatever you want to call them. Just, make sure that it's going to be somebody that's proven. Make sure that you're going to get, someone to vouch for them, because there's a ton of LOs out there that can't make it as an LO, and then all of a sudden say, hey, I'm going to do this, and I think I can teach social media marketing, and you're going to end up losing a lot of money. And just to go back kind of to my production, so I just looked, and it was like last month was 70% realtor, 20% was actually lead based. So it did come from some form of either social media or realtor.com or Zillow or my own funnels, and then 10% were just kind of past clients or friend type referrals.
Well, and with your leads, you use those to strengthen your relationships, though. I mean, it's, even though it was a lead closing, one thing I was going to make a video on this in MLO.net this morning, but I guess the timing's right to just talk about it now. Is sometimes LOs get excited because they converted a lead or they closed a lead, and hey, I'm adding on top of my business, and 60-70% real, but I got some lead base. I always look at a successful lead, and this is me, this is how I think. You don't have to think this way, but to me, a successful lead that I converted to a closing is actually going to be 2 closings, possibly 3. It's, I got a lead, and I was able to maintain or strengthen an existing relationship with somebody, whether it's my past client, a local business, or a real estate agent, because of that additional opportunity. Now, I can't always leverage it with an agent, but usually when I meet a new client, I find somebody in my network that I can introduce that client to, and I'm not necessarily just trying to use people for my own benefit. I'm trying to actually help my clients out by introducing them to good partners, and those partners in turn help me build my business. So every time I convert a lead, I look at it as, well, I converted this lead, but if that person works with my preferred realtor, they usually feel inclined to help me find one pretty quickly. So that's actually 2 deals, not just 1.
It's definitely 2 wins or 3 wins, as you put it, no doubt about it. And most realtors even now are shocked when you're actually able to provide them a lead. And that's why, and as far as partnering with realtors, and you kind of touched on this a little bit before, as far as going after, that 10 unit or 12 unit or 20 unit a month realtor, I mean, I tend to kind of shy away from those. And I'm not going to say I wouldn't love to have them on my team, but I would rather concentrate on either that brand new realtor, or maybe that realtor that's closing 1 or 2 transactions a month. That would be just ecstatic if I could find them a way to double that from 1 to 2 to 2 to 4 a month. Those are the people that I try to go after and try to teach lead generation. And what I've done a lot of times, and sometimes you kind of get your hand slapped, and sometimes realtors get offended. But when I see a lead come through my Facebook news feed from a realtor, I'll reach out to them and maybe screenshot their lead, or I'm sorry, not lead, their ad. And I'll maybe screenshot their ad and shoot them a Facebook message and said, hey, saw your ad, great job advertising. And if it's good, then I'll tell them it's good. If it's not, and I feel like I can, add something to it, then I'll tell them. One of the biggest things I see all the time is where realtors will actually run ads, and they'll send people to realtor.com and Zillow.com. And I'm thinking, you're paying to send them to some other site, and you're probably going to lose that lead.
You're going to pay twice. You're going to pay again to buy it back from realtor.com.
Yeah, and I see that all the time. So those are the realtors that I try to reach out to and say, hey, great job learning that, or realizing that social media is the way to go, but why don't you try this? You're doing great here, but why don't you also try this?
I like it. Yeah, and that's something I talk about a lot, being social on social media. I mean, you're being friendly. You're not just reaching out to them and saying, hey, you stink, Mr. Realtor. You're opening the conversation with, hey, good job taking advantage of advertising. I see that post was sponsored. You've learned to use a business page and the ads manager. That's great. A lot of realtors haven't quite done that yet.
Right.
You don't just start there and you tell them they're doing it wrong right off the bat. I see some of us doing that, And
then you can kind of parlay into that to finding out, hey, did you just boost this post, directly from Facebook, or did you go into your ads manager? And a lot of them, they have no idea there's anything called ads manager and how to target and how to use their past database. And I mean, I was just meeting with a broker the other day, and their CRM, which connected to their website that they've had going, I don't know, for a few years now. And he literally said they have 15,000 leads in that database. And, it kind of blew his mind when I said, hey, you can upload those email addresses and phone numbers and remarket to every single one of those on Facebook. And, he's blown away by that.
Custom audience. Or the one that TJ and I like is the Lookalike Audience.
There you go. Yeah.
There's no secret right there. TJ and I's big secret.
Yeah.
The
Well, and
Lookalike Audience.
it's funny you mentioned that because that's what I did. I took a database of Zillow leads and then also added in applications that we had actually closed and applications that all had a credit score over X amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a lookalike audience on that. And that's one of the most successful.
God forbid you hit up friends of friends that have jobs and have money. I've been screaming that. I've been screaming that, man. And
it works.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as with realtors too, I mean, I was talking about my relationships with realtors, and I didn't come up with this. This is actually something that I learned in another program, and that's something else is like take something from everywhere. There's some great programs out there and there's some bad ones, but you can learn something from everywhere. And one of the things that I learned in this particular program, I won't share the company, but it's always giving the realtor praise when they send you a referral. And that's huge because when that realtor is sending you a referral and someone says, hey, this is Joe and Carmen asked me to give you a call. I'm looking to buy a house. I mean, that's your opportunity to say, wow, you're working with Carmen. Well, I'm sure you know this, but Carmen's amazing. I've worked with her for years. She's great, but I'm sure you already know that. But yeah, she's awesome. And then share some sort of story about Carmen or about that realtor. And because that's going to do two things. One, you're telling that lead that, hey, you did a great job choosing an agent. So they're going to feel good about themselves and feel good about working with you. And then two, you can guarantee that lead's going to go back and tell Carmen, wow, Greg had nothing but great things to say about you. Mm-hmm. And that works every single time.
Yep. And it helps that agent learn how to be better at cross-selling you and in general, just be better themselves as being a good salesperson. I always
be genuine about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I find that the best salespeople do tend to be very complimentary and thankful and uplifting, and they don't. Oh, here's 3 cards to pick from, or oh yeah, you picked Greg the realtor. Okay, that's cool. I agree 100%. That's a good reminder for myself. I try to do that, but I perhaps don't do it as much as you do.
Yeah, I try to do that all the time and find out obviously why they called and who sent them. And I always say, well, who sent you? Because I'd like to be able to thank them. And then I guess on that the same lines is my, and I've shared this story before, but my number one referral partner, I met her because she was the listing agent on a deal that I was working. And it was the first time that I'd ever called a listing agent and on a deal, and it's like immediately I was like, holy crap, this is going to work every time. And normally it does, but as soon as you get that contract in and you look up that listing agent, call them and say, hey, I'm Greg, I'm handling the financing for 123 Main Street. Great to meet you. Look forward to meeting or working with you. You have a very qualified buyer here. And then, by the way, you're going to get updates throughout this process via email, as also phone call updates, and they're going to be blown away.
Do you ever find, I find this, I have some examples going right now where I end up having a better relationship with the listing agent than the buyer's agent.
Oh, yeah. Well, and a lot of times too, because yourself, a lot of listing agents, not all, but a lot of like heavy, big time listing agents, they like just listing, not necessarily they're not buyer's agents. And a lot of times they're sort of kept out of the loop. And they're the ones that don't know what's going on, where are we at, and they're bugging the buyer's agent. So if you're telling them, hey, I'm going to be giving you updates, and if you have any questions, you feel free to call me. You're going to build that bond with them. And my story started because of that one phone call. She's literally my number one referral agent to this day, and we've been going strong for 3 or 4 years now.
Nice.
All because of one phone call.
I love it, man. Now I'm gonna broach this topic that you and I talked about before we went live.
Okay.
And we're a little scared to talk about this. We're scared because there might be some outlash and some people that say Greg and I are sold our souls and all that. But I invested a lot of time and money into building a relationship with a real estate office. I know you've got a few relationships like that going. There are folks in this group and folks in some of these coaching programs. They'll say like never ever pay for any kind of desk or any kind of marketing agreement. I look down on LOs that do that.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit. I think there's a time and place where being a preferred or in-house lender for a builder or real estate office is a great way to build your business. And I think there's a time and place where you're getting used and abused.
And you hit it dead on. It's and I think where people get confused is they lump the two together, and they can't. They're completely separate. So I'm in a real estate office, so I have my own branch with LOs, and then I rent. We also have a real estate office that we rent a space in, just like a one single room office, and that actually just started. We've been a preferred lender for them, but we just started renting space there, and I look at it as I'm adding value, and so do they. And literally when I'm there, it's always, hey, Greg, good to see you this morning, as people are maybe getting their morning coffee or whatever. And it's, hey, I just spoke to someone over the weekend. I want to run this question by you. So it's just you being there. And we may have some lagging going on. Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like our connection got a little weak. Just hold for 1 second. Must be the South Carolina National Guard's got their drill practice going or something. Yeah,
that's what it is. No, we all share the same internet connection here in South Carolina. But for me, being in that office, and I'm not there every day. I choose a day or two a week where I'm there for 5 or 6 hours, sometimes the whole day. But it's just being there. And when I had my first meeting with them, and I actually was teaching a social media class to their group, but I let them know is like, hey, feel free when I'm here. If you have a deal, even if it's working with another bank or lender or whoever, if you have a question, come to me. Even if I'm not working the deal, I'm here to help you. Now, am I going to try to eventually, if the other LO can't work that deal out, am I going to try to get it? I mean, absolutely. But to them, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to try to help them resolve it. Now, if it's some secret that I know that I can do and the other LO just haven't figured out yet, then that gets a little touchy because the LO might fail. But if I can help, I'm always going to help.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what we originally called this hangout was help people win and you win, just because I've known you for a while and I've watched you do that in your business. And, it's something that I gravitate towards because I feel like I at least try to do the same thing. But, the office relationship that I have is slightly different because my office is technically in the same building. I don't necessarily put my office address on my emails because I don't want other realtors to think I'm tied to them. But yeah, I mean, I teach classes here. I take the same approach. Call me if you have questions. I'll see. I push the agents to start their own internal Facebook group with just the agents. And whenever they're posting, I try to help. I don't say, hey, call me, I got the loan. I'll say, hey, that guy at Huntington has a really good product. These are the questions you might want to ask. Your buyer probably needs to know this. I do whatever I can to just give back to those agents.
Where you're not just saying, hey, send me the deal and let me close it. Right.
Yeah, send me the deal because me and your broker are tight. And,
right.
They don't care about that.
And see, that's what happens too, is a lot of times if you are that guy and you are that in-house person, a lot of realtors, they hold some resentment towards the broker because, they know, I mean, let's face it, they know the broker is getting some type of MSA or some type of compensation for having an in-house lender. So sometimes there is some resentment. So as long as you're not portraying yourself as, hey, I'm sitting here because I just, wrote a big check. It's like, no, I'm sitting here because I'm here to offer you value. I'm here to help you close more deals. I'm holding like, manufactured housing classes. That's something everybody stays away from. But guess what? There's a need for it. Realtors have no idea how to get a manufactured home finance because so many LOs shy away from them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to help. So I offered a manufactured homes class. Do I want to do 20 manufactured homes a month? Probably not, but I can't say that I would necessarily turn them down either. So really teaching and classes, and I mean, you guys definitely taught me that is being able to teach a class is going to get you tons of business too, because you're never pitching yourself. You're just pitching the fact that, hey, I'm Greg and I'm here to help you.
Mm-hmm. And I like how when you teach your classes, I mean, you admitted to me when you first started doing it that you kind of bombed in the beginning.
Awful.
I mean, you didn't necessarily even really know what your presentation was going to be, but you just frickin' picked a topic, put it on the calendar, and said, all right, well, it's time to do it. I guess I should probably find a PowerPoint now. I guess I should learn this topic myself.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock in the morning and it starts at 10. What am I going to talk about?
Right. Yeah, Alex and I talked about that on our hangout that we did in here a few weeks
ago. I saw that.
Very, very similar. And so I've obviously told more than one person that. I'm like, quit getting over your stinking fear and thinking the perfect PowerPoint is what what brings you business.
Yeah.
It's
Something I learned in public speaking a long time ago is that you're always going to know more about your topic than your audience.
mm-hmm.
So as long as you go up there with confidence and you know about what you're going to talk about, I mean, sure, it's great to have a PowerPoint and have some slides, or at least in my case, have some notes. I didn't even have notes ready, but know what you're going to talk about, and then once you get up there, it's just going to flow. And what I found is that if you feel like you're bombing, stop and just say, hey, by the way, do any of you have any questions? Because sometimes those questions are going to get you back on topic. Somebody's going to ask you something, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I didn't talk about that yet. So that's what I always try to do. But yeah, I love teaching any kind of social media. I've done some, VA mortgage classes, obviously, through Military Mortgage Boot Camp. I've been slack there, so I haven't turned in my stuff for the state. Sorry, Fish. But
I'm actually working on somebody else for South Carolina right now, so it'd be a good time. I could maybe put them in the same package.
No, I mean, really, you're all set with South Carolina. I just have to fill out one simple little form. But anyway, I mean, the classes are definitely the way to go, because it takes you're not standing in front of them asking the business. You're literally there to help, and that's been great for my business.
Yeah, and it's the mindset and the approach. And I'm not going to say I 100% learned this, but I was reminded this by my good friend Chad in Houston, that whether it's videos that you're making on your Facebook page or Facebook posts or classes that you're teaching, people don't always remember everything that you said. I mean, so a lot of us get so tied up in, like, I've got to have the perfect message, or I have to have the perfect email or the perfect presentation.
Right.
And it's not always, I mean, we said this on so many of these Hangouts, it's imperfect action trumps perfect inaction. It's the same thing with the classes. If you, in your head, just tell yourself, hey, I'm going to interact with this audience, I'm going to be friendly with them, you may miss some of your topics and your pointers and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
If you are friendly and nice and you shake hands and you buy them lunch and you ask for the business and you put your face on the screen and you give them cards and you follow up with them,
right?
It works for everybody that I've ever met all across the country. I don't have anybody come to me and say, yeah, I'm teaching these classes and I never ever get any deals out of them. I mean, it's just, I don't hear that.
You're going to get deals, and like you said, sometimes it ends up being not even about the class; it's just the interaction with the agent and showing that you're a real person, and down to earth person. And there's agents that'll show up these classes, and they may have heard my name for years, I may have heard their name for years, and we've never actually met. And then, or maybe they have their opinion of me based on something they've heard, or I have my opinion of them. But then we actually meet, and we're like, well, holy crap, I actually like you. You're really cool. And that happens. So it's just having that sort of personal touch, and just remembering that money's not made sitting in behind your desk at your computer. You have to get out. You have to get social. You have to be meeting with people, and we're going to start getting into hosting some happy hours with some realtors and some other things that I'm not quite ready to share yet, but some other things that we're going to be doing.
That's cool, man.
And any LOs out there, because I know I don't know how many people are watching, but I know there's probably people that are just starting, and there may be people that are 20, 30, 40, 50 units a month. I don't know, but if you're just starting, where I'm from, and Fish, this from knowing me for so long, I'm from an area that our average loan size is $135,000. Where a lot of people that are watching, or a lot of people in some of the groups we hang out in, $135,000 is probably the down payment on the deal they're working. So I had to come in and learn to produce and close units, because there might be LOs out there that are happy closing 3 or 4 loans a month. Well, if I close 3 or 4 loans a month, I'm going to starve. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Because I came in and said, well, if I want to close, $1 million, because that's kind of always everybody's first sort of milestone. They want to be $1 million producer a month. And I was like, well, geez, I have to close 7 or 8 deals a month to bust $1 million, where, some of our friends may have to close 2 or 3 loans and break $1 million. But I look at that as a blessing, because it made me go out there and hustle and know that I had to close that. And now it's kind of on autopilot. And I'm not going to say I have months where I don't dip down and I might close, 5 or 6 loans, but also have months where I'll do 13 or 15 units a month. But I'm always going to average somewhere in that 8 to 10 unit a month. I'm not a killer, I'm just, I saw on Alex's hangout, he admitted, he's like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm more successful than most. And that's kind of the way I feel. A 10 unit LO, I think a lot of people would kill to be there. Do I want to grow from there? Absolutely. But if I can maintain 8 to 10 units a month and be happy and keep that home life, perfect, and, not work, from sun up to sundown and my kids never see me, then that's what I want to do.
Right. I don't talk to you much about this because it's something I see from one of my other friends so much that it's like he's the guy. Like our friend Steven in Kalamazoo, Steven, some people call him WTF. Woloshik, I believe is how you actually pronounce his last name. Nobody can get it right. But Steven always talks about, being gracious and thankful. And I don't always say, oh, yeah, Greg's the gracious, thankful guy. But, when I first met you, that was one thing that struck me right off the bat is that that deep Southern voice and that hospitality and always thanking people for what you did. And, it kind of takes me back to a time when, you had been helping me with some of the things I was trying to do to build and grow, and I'd been helping you a little bit. And next thing you know, you had a little rough patch in your life, and I think I sent you a Zingerman sandwich. I was like, that's a good guy. I'm really thankful that I got him in my life, and we're going to send him some yummy Jewish food from Ann Arbor. We'll see how he likes that. Yeah,
that was awesome. I mean, you guys sent me all kinds of things, some gift cards and everything. I can't remember what I know what it was. I went through stress. I thought I was having a heart attack. Yeah. It literally went to the ER and it ended up being a panic attack. But I mean, this business and and so I guess that goes back to, you can't let it consume you. You just have to, if you're that new LO, or even in an LO that's not where you quite want to be, is just learn to structure your day and try to figure out where you want to concentrate, where you want your business to come from. But don't let it get to the point to where, you constantly have that, good God, am I having a heart attack? Because that's what happened to me. It was midnight one night and I thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah, that's just, it's not healthy at all. I mean, you should do that to everyone that you work with. I mean, your team, your real estate agents, and not just knowing you, but a lot of the LOs I know, they constantly remind me that we have a really good job. We make good money for what we do. I mean, there's no reason to have a chip on our shoulders, and we should always be thankful for our real estate partners and our team and all the kind of things that we have around us. Just the simple things like maybe I bought a real estate agent a shirt from somewhere, or I sent them a book. I've been trying to send people that help us in the MLO network books and food and stuff like that. By the way, I owe you a book. I haven't found one for you yet, but.
Well, I'll give you the perfect example. So one agent that we've been working with a good bit lately, and I have my loan partner Jeff, who's awesome. I couldn't do what I do without him, and but he was an LO, and then he moved over to be my loan partner. But it was a relationship that he had built, and I'm not going to say the relationship went south, but they just weren't working together as much as possible. So I was like, you know what, let's try to rekindle that. So we took them out to lunch one day. They're a husband and wife team. And, I think immediately us having lunch and sort of breaking bread, so to speak, it kind of reminded them, hey, this is why we like Jeff. We like Jeff. Why do we stop using him, or why aren't we using him as much? And, we're closing more deals together now. And I mean, I think last month we closed 2 deals together. I think this month we'll close 1. But, those relationships where you've got a realtor where you're closing 1 or 2 deals a month. And so what I guess to your point is that I sent her, and it's a company called Send Out Cards. A lot of LOs use it. But I sent her a send out card, and I basically said, thanks for the relationship. I can't remember what I wrote in the card, but basically just, thank you. And they came up with a nickname for Jeff and I, and they call us Gref, because we're the same person, Greg and Jeff, so Gref. So I signed it Gref, and then I went on her Facebook page and just grabbed a picture of her. She has a 4-year-old or 5-year-old. Grabbed a picture of her 5-year-old, threw it on the card, and said, picture added for extra effect or something. I don't know. I put that in the card, and I mean, she thanked me on Facebook and took a picture of it and thanked me on Facebook for that. And I mean, we're developing a strong relationship for something that cost me $6 to send.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's definitely those relationships, and not to get too far off topic, but since I brought up Jeff, I think if you're an LO that's closing, when you start closing 5 units consistently, you're going to hear varying numbers on this, and you're also going to hear some LOs that say, oh, that's bull crap. I can close 20 alone and not have a loan partner. To me, I don't know why you would want to do that. To me, if you start closing 5 units consistently, you need an LOA, because you're going to get to a point to where going from 5 to 10 without an LOA is going to be almost impossible.
Yeah,
going from 10 to 15 is going to be near impossible. Now, I'm
yeah,
not saying it
I'm
can't
in
be
the same
done.
mindset as you, absolutely. And I was pushing TJ on this a little bit and trying to, because TJ and I were talking about, hey, how we're gonna run MLO Net and run the coaching programs and still be good branch managers and be good for our kids and families and stuff. And we both know that we can't work around the clock to do it.
Right.
And sometimes I always make this mistake. I'm not going to make it on this call. My good friend DJ, not TJ, DJ, just a couple weeks ago had a hangout with us, and his solution was something that I've ever since that call I've been telling people that, oh my gosh, Mike, I need a better processor and more LOs in my branch at LOA, and I'm like, okay, well, how's it going now? Oh, I'm slammed. All right, okay, well, do you have somebody that's even just like a temp on your payroll, somebody that you can pay $10 an hour, or maybe a lot of the folks at the company I'm at hired college interns, or they bring in people just for 5 to 10 hours a week. It
Right.
doesn't have to be a full-time trained $50,000 an employee
Just
to start
something.
solving your little problems.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
that's important because and I share with you my production. Like I said, I'm upfront with my production, but just with my production, I have Jeff, who's my loan partner, and I also have Angela, who's more of kind of not kind of, she does everything else for me. So an admin. So some people say, well, 8 to 10 units, and you have 2 people, but I don't mind. Does it cost me a little extra money? Yeah, but why wouldn't you want that for that peace of mind? And Fish, even before we started this call, I think you maybe even heard me say where I asked Jeff, I was like, hey, will you call so-and-so for me? It was because I knew this was about to start. A realtor was calling me, and she'd already called me twice. So just even having somebody to say, hey, call them back for me, say, I'm not ignoring their call. I'm tied up right now. How can I help you? That's huge
Mhm.
because there's nothing more than a realtor calling you twice and can't get you, and they've got somebody standing there in front of them.
Yeah, it's like they teach people that are waiting tables to do that. I mean, you're waiting tables and they're going to a restaurant. I mean, you're running a business with people, $100,000 to $300,000 investments. You should be able to do the same thing. Like, hey, I
Right.
can't get to the table right now, but we'll be right with you. Sally's going to greet you real quick. She'll get you some silverware. I mean, how
That's
basic
a
is
great
that?
analogy.
Right.
Yeah. Because at least that you're acknowledging that, hey, we're not just leaving you sitting here. Someone really is coming to help.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. And
that's a great analogy.
I feel bad because I look at myself and I just did that yesterday with a client. Like I'm struggling to get a hold of him earlier this morning, and I'm already sitting there thinking, if I had done a better job of saying hello when they reached out yesterday, the whole interaction would have been easy. But
Yeah, and along those same lines, and a lot of people probably already do this, but definitely use text features on your phone. So if you're getting a call and you can't grab that call, have some predefined text. Depending on who it is. If you don't know who it is, it can be just, hey, I'm busy. I'll call you right back. Or if it's a realtor or just something because I have that on my phone. That way I'm not just ignoring them. Or now what I've started doing is if you call my cell phone and you don't get me, it rolls over to, I don't know what the hell it's called, but a phone tree or whatever, but they'll have options 1, 2, or 3. And it's, hey, if you're calling about a loan in process, press 1, and it might go to my setup person or if you want to speak, I think it says if you want to speak to me, but it actually goes to my admin. So you're always giving them options, so you're never letting them where they're not going to be able to talk to someone.
so like option 5 is if you're looking to buy land and put a mobile home on it, press 6.
Yeah, call fish. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that does me. Oh,
yeah.
good thing I'm not South Carolina license.
But
Well,
I think that's called. I think the system I use is called Umail, and it's like I don't know, $10 a month or
yeah,
something.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
Simpson
awesome.
posted it. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Cool, man. Well, we try to keep these to 30 or 40 minutes. We started a little bit early. Do you have any tips for the folks who are maybe where you were at 3 or 4 years ago versus where you're at now with a
yeah,
kick-ass branch and a bunch of people all around you and
yeah. I think so. So I sort of started over twice. So I left the origination world, like I said, when I went to work at Chase and sort of a compliance, risk, and control world, and then came back to originations and really struggled. But what I tell my new LOs and really what I'll tell anybody that's a new LO, don't concentrate on going out and trying to find 10 or 20 realtors to put on your team that are going to send you deals. What I try to do is go out and find 1 or 2 realtors that are going to send me business consistently. And a lot of people say, oh, it's so hard to find those 1 or 2 realtors. And it can be, but you just have to go out and prove yourself. And then once you start to find those one or two realtors and you build up that consistency and you use social media as a way to show, hey, look at all these loans that we're closing, then other realtors start to take notice and say, wow, Greg sure is closing a lot of loans with Joe the realtor. I wonder what he could help me do. So don't get so worried about trying to find 10 people. Just find your team. Find 2 or 3 that send you 2 or 3. It's kind of like multi-level marketing. Find 2 or 3 people that send you 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, that's a lot. I see a lot of the social media internet coaches. They're like, same thing. It's like they have this high-end coaching program, and really what they're dying to do is just get 1 or 2 clients so they can start that concept of social proof. Like,
Right.
Look how well my one client did, and I'm not saying they don't go all in for that client because many of them do, but
right.
They teach that. Like Frank Kern teaches that. Like once you get a couple clients, then you can start using the success stories to build your business. It's the same thing with realtors. Yeah,
it is. You just have to prove yourself. And then I made the mistake of a great company, but I made the mistake of going to a company that didn't allow producing branch managers. They wanted non-producing branch managers. And I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be great. I can concentrate on building relationships and building out my office and being there for my team. And that ended up being one of the worst mistakes I've ever made because, when those realtors get so used to working with you, they don't care who you work for. They're used to working with you. And then now all of a sudden I'm saying, hey, you're still working with me. You're going to happen to be working with John also on my team. Well, they don't know John, they know me. And that nearly killed my business. And then, so May of last year, I actually went back producing again. And, it was as if I had never left. As soon as all I did was reach out, called all those realtors that I worked with before and said, hey, Greg's back. I'm back in the game. Work with me directly. Send me your deals. And, we kind of hit the ground running.
I like it, man. I dig it.
And last thing is definitely find, sort of that product that you really like. For me, I love VA. I don't do as much VA as I want to. I think I just did my numbers. And really when I did my numbers, it shocked me because we're actually 38% conventional right now. And I think, Fish, when you met me, I was probably 5% conventional, which had to do a little something with the company I worked for at the time, but 38% conventional, somewhere around 4 or 5% USDA. That number actually surprised me. I thought I was more USDA, but 20% of my business is VA. I'd like to see that go upwards of, 35 to 40%. And then right now we're about 38% FHA. So we're still mainly a Govy shop. But we definitely have a pretty good mix.
I like it, man. That's good stuff. Yeah. So, last thing I have, and then we'll let everybody get back to their day, and then you're going to come back and watch Jim Prince in a half an hour, by the way.
I'm going to do that. Yeah.
I did back-to-back today. I'm like, I'm ready to go. We're in the pits.
All right, cool.
But I just wanted to let everybody know on the call. I mean, Greg has been very generous with helping folks all over the country. I've watched it for several years. If you have something in his area or you're looking for a good LO in South Carolina, again, he's volunteering his time. I watch him give back to people selflessly. Hit him up. He'll advise you, just like we were talking about in the agent relationships. He'll help you try to figure out how to close it first, and if you can't, he'll close it pretty smoothly. So, we appreciate your time, bud. Hopefully, I get to see you face to face. Maybe I will get an event
soon,
somewhere close to the East Coast sometime soon.
Yep.
I can't officially say anything about that unless I bring TJ on the call because that kind of stuff drives him nuts. But
all right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
So, all right, man. Catch you on the other side. Everyone, catch Jim Prince in about another half hour. Thanks for your time, Greg. We'll catch you on the other side.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
You got it, bud.